Dr. Rich Blana. Welcome to this, the 20th edition of the Healthy Stress Doctor podcast. In this edition, I'm going to talk about the intersection of acceptance and commitment therapy, Naikan therapy, and Morita therapy. One of the readers of my newsletter sent me an email asking me about how the three interact. So I'm going to show you this month using an example of my own life with my own father. My relationship with my dad's been kind of stormy over the years, and recently my mom passed away and my dad has been going through some troubling times, and I've been using ACT, Naikan, and Morita together to help me deal with my relationship with him as well as to help him get through it. So one of the things that relates to ACT as far as my dad and I are concerned is I have a lot of outdated personal scripts running around my head related to my relationship with my father from years ago that are not really very helpful now in helping me deal with the present moment. So I have to realize that part of my issue in dealing with my dad now are these unhelpful personal scripts and emotions from way back when in my childhood related to him. So that's the first thing as far as ACT is concerned, is being aware that those things exist. In order to kind of develop newer relational frames related to my dad, I use Naikan. So I did Naikan self-reflection on the three big questions related to my dad. What has my dad done for me? What have I done for him? And what pain and suffering have I caused him? And in doing Naikan in the present moment about my dad, it kind of helped me create new relational frames about him and not rely on the past thinking about him that hasn't been very helpful. So the Naikan really made me realize that my dad has contributed a lot to my life, has enabled me to be where I am, and even though a lot of our relationship has been stormy, redoing Naikan right now really helped me clarify, where we stood in terms of our relationship in the present moment. Then I use Morita therapy to help me shift my focus and my attention off of my emotions. Because, anytime I think of my dad, of course I go back to those old past relational frames, and they kind of keep me stuck in moving forward. And one of the things about ACT is that, you want to take values congruent action. You want to move forward taking action that relates to your values and helps you meet your goals. So I use Morita to make me realize that I'm not doing that I'm actually stuck on my thoughts and not moving forward. So I shifted my attention away from myself and onto what needs to be done. And basically I came up with three things that really need to be done. One is I need to spend a little bit more time with my dad to just kind of help him meet his basic needs. Two is that I need to spend more time with him to create some new relational frames, some positive images based on the present moment and not on the past. And then the third thing that needed to be done was, since my dad really can't care for himself completely, I needed to make a decision about inviting him into my house to live with my wife and myself. So what I really needed to do in terms of Morita is shift my attention off of my unhelpful thoughts and onto those three action steps. And then coming back to ACT again, in order to do that, I needed to be able to step back and step away from those painful thoughts and troubling emotions. So I used the whiteboard activity, which is a diffusion activity to kind of help you put some distance between you and your unhelpful thoughts. When I actually did that and I stepped back and I looked at the kinds of messages I've been telling myself about my relationship with my dad, I was able to kind of see it more clearly and defuse from some of the outdated thoughts and scripts and kind of start focusing on the future, on creating new, more helpful ones. So by taking those three action steps, spending more time with my dad, meeting his needs, spending more time with my dad, creating new relational frames, and inviting him in, by shifting my attention onto those things and realizing that that's going to involve some pain and suffering, on my part to do that, but that I can coexist with that pain and suffering and kind of move forward. So if you look at the way the three work together, the Naikan kind of gives you some insight into, what your relationship really is with the person. In my case, with my dad, and the Naikan helped me create some new relational frames. The ACT helped me acknowledge the fact that there's some stuff in the past that's not very helpful, but that we can create some new frames and move forward. And then the Morita really kind of helped me accept that, coexist with the troubling thoughts and emotions, and take those steps. So that's kind of how the three work together. I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see how it works out, and hopefully in maybe a video in the future, I'll let you know what kind of progress we're making. Okay, I look forward to working with you again next month when we put out the 21st podcast. Yeah.